tell you that I love you 100 times a day. You'll get tired of my voice, that's how much I'm gonna tell you that I'll miss you. I'll miss you if you go. Yes, I'm gonna let you know just how much I tell your mama, I tell your papa too. I'm gonna let everyone know about my love, so I really hope you love me too. Yeah, I really hope you love me too.
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear that very well in video. There's a constant hum, and then the kind of peaks and ebbs and flows of the cicadas. This is the 17-year cicada invasion. And so we're going to probably work filming in the evenings because it gets really loud during the day. They're starting to kind of ramp their way down for the evening right now. So they're headed to their quiet zone, and of a night they get quiet. But we're going to be working on building something for this that I've been wanting to do for a while, this double cab. So I'm going to be building I want a ladder. There's a roof rack on this bus. Let me back the camera back just a little bit. There we go. That's a little bit better. This new fandangled phone, I can't change it while I'm filming, and that's kind of annoying. But I want to build something that goes up to this. And I've seen buses that have, apologize for the wind, have, a ladder coming up the front and then it kind of angles back. I think that looks kind of cool. But a double cab, just like any of the other buses, unless they're a double door, has this dead space right here. So I'm thinking perhaps that might be our better route, is to just go into the rain gutter, we can bring it down, and then kick a piece back to the frame. So there's a show coming up. I kind of want to have it done before then, and that way we can put some cool stuff on top. The roof rack is completely accessible until I put the hoop set, the canvas on there. And I will say I love having a canvas on the truck. I wasn't sure if I would like that or not. And I made a hoop set for it, put the canvas on, and I'm telling you, that works out fantastic. The sides will roll up, and I've had this on about 5 years. It's held up really well. I built it. This is built out of a Top Notch 9 completely waterproof sailing fabric. And I put leather on it just to give it kind of that vintage look. But it has worked out really well. And it just, attaches over the little hooks that are in the side of the truck, and then the tab pulls through. And then it does the same thing here, only this just locks onto the outside. So I've been very happy with it, and I don't want to take the canvas off because it works out really well for many different uses that we use the truck for. But a ladder to get up there. If you don't have the hoop on, obviously you can just walk into the back of the truck and you have complete access up here. So we need a ladder here or up front. What do you think? I don't know. I kind of like the ones that go here. I'm on the fence. So let me go get what I've got, what we're going to use, and we'll see kind of which position we like better. This has safaris, so I have to allow for the windshields to kick out if I decide to put it up front. So I'm not sure I'm going to do that. I'm leaning towards, as far as ease of construction, I'm leaning towards over that side over there. Yeah, let me go get the ladder and see what we got. So this is what I have. This is an old fire escape ladder that I talked my Uncle Norman out of. Thanks, Uncle Norman. And I think if we set it up on the bumper, we have plenty of length to then tip it back to the roof rack if that's what we want to do. But I don't know, it kind of takes away from the recognizable bus front nose. So let me move it over to the side and let's take a peek and see what it looks like. I'm still undecided. Here it is on the side. And there's kind of this dead space on a double cab, this spot right back here that's just kind of a visually dead space. And if I put it right there, I can put it in the middle, but this is a pop-out window. So if I do that and this window, we decide to use the pop-outs, which we do pretty often, I've got to make room to clear that. So I'm leaning towards putting it past the pop-out, and then I don't have to worry about that at all. And I can hug the bus as close as I want. I'm liking that. I want to retain, there's a kind of an interesting thing going on at the top up there, so I want to retain that. So where it sits on the rain gutter, it'll probably be about midway of this step, so that piece up there will then stick up just a little bit past. And then the contour of the bus I'll have to follow. So I'll have to nick a V in it, and then tip it, and then weld it back so that we have this kind of droop, droop contoured space visually. I'm going to have to treat the ladder with some kind of boiled linseed oil and turpentine or something, though, because I don't want it to drip down and make staining. I mean, it's not like I have the best paint job in the world here, but I'd like to not make it all rusty looking. Yeah, I don't know who did the body work on this, but it was less than stellar. The funny thing about this is there's metal behind it. They just bondoed over it, so if they'd just taken the time to hammer out all the metal that's all banged up back there, they probably, it looks like in some places actually beat in the metal so that they could get the bondo flush. I think that was kind of a common practice. The body work on this is kind of like the body work on that one. Lack of body work, I guess I should say. So let me go get a tape measure, and we'll measure this ladder, and then we'll measure how far we want it, and then we'll be able to figure out how much we need to cut off. And I'm just going to make some legs that kick back to the frame. This thing is super heavy. I don't know what it weighs, but it's really, really heavy. I'm not going to be bending it, that's for sure, without cutting it. And this is, the steps are C-channel. I'll flip it around and show you. So they're welded C-channel. There's a little spider in there hiding away. So I don't think structurally it really needs anything, but I do want to retain that cool piece up at the top since it is a fire escape ladder. A few people will know what it is. But let's measure it and see kind of where we need to cut it, and kind of get a plan going for that. They're starting to tone down a little bit. These two trees here are the loudest ones in the neighborhood, I think. Looks like about 60 inches is about where we hit. If we measure from here, going just about 5 inches up is about what we're going to get. Yeah, we're going to cut it at 60 anyway. That way, cut it too long for sure. And 60 is going to kind of put us in between a ladder rung, which will work out, I think, pretty well, because then if we cut to the one above it, I shouldn't have to step up too far to start climbing the ladder. And that'll actually leave us a little bit of ladder left. I mean, I have another plan for that. So I am going to mark it just past this rung here. If I go ahead and mark it at 60, then if I have to kick back, I can. So we'll go ahead and mark it there. Guess I should have marked that one on the outside too, but you get the point. And then a piece of rebar fits perfectly up in the rain gutter, like so. And then we'll build a clamp out of a piece of angle, and that should work perfect. Let's cut that down. I had to know how much it weighed. Put it on the scale, and it is 40 pounds. Sucker is heavy. So let's go give it some weight loss. Now we got that piece cut off, and it's 10 pounds that we took off of it. So hopefully it's the right length, because I don't really want to weld that back on there. So let's take it over there and see if we can't just kind of hold it up and see if that looks about right. Like I said, somewhere in the middle we're going to have to kind of notch and then cut so we can get a bend to it, but let's take it over and see what we think. And then have another plan for the short piece that we just, that we just cut off of there. Let me go get that, and we'll see what it looks like. Let me bring you up just a hair here. All right, this tripod's sticking. I can't imagine why. Not like it's ever exposed to any dirt or debris. And now we're only holding up, I think it was 9 pounds I cut off. Ooh. I like it. Yeah, it's good. It's gonna be very cool. I dig it. Okay, let's figure out a bracket system. It's gonna have to hold the weight of the ladder plus me or whoever, so I'm not a lightweight. I'm just saying. Yeah. I like it. I think it's the right length too. Sweet. Okay. Let me go get some pieces and we'll figure out what we're doing up there. I have this 3/4 inch angle that I think, I haven't tried it up there yet. I think it'll work just based on, yeah, that's gonna be about perfect. Yeah, let me cut a little piece of that. I'll measure. Let's make it a little bit wider. Thanks for the new Sharpies, Mom. Make that a little bit wider. Maybe I'll cut a piece of that and we'll put it in there and make sure that'll fit okay. I think that'll work. If not, I think I've got some 1/2 inch. Well, the cicadas are definitely quieter of an evening as we're coming into dark here. Quietest it's been all day. I can actually hear myself think. I believe I have this kind of where it needs to be. I just cut a V-notch. Can't really see it, but I cut a V-notch to about half, a little over halfway. And then I just heated what was left. So I had a V and I heated it and then just closed in the V. Now I don't know if this angle is right or not. We'll see. It looks pretty close. It might actually be a little bit too much. Excuse me. So I may have to come back a little bit this way. So I've kind of got you on the side. Maybe you can see. Swallowing that. See how we line up here. So this rung needs to be in the middle of the body line. That is just about perfect. I think we're gonna call that good. What do you think? Wanted to do that before I got the bracket system kind of figured out, because I may have to angle this at a different angle, you know, like instead of the bracket being, you know, straight back, I may have to angle it like this. So I wanted to get that kink in it first before we kind of did any bracketry. And I put I thought I was gonna have to cut it off again. Take this out of the holder here. I thought I was gonna have to cut it off a little bit more, and I went ahead and just clamped a piece of steel to the frame, kind of where I want my kickback piece to go, and it's about perfect. If anything, it's gonna be too short. So cut it off twice and it's still too short. I'm gonna leave it where it is. I think it's actually gonna be just about right. And we can always put our piece that kicks back to the bottom of the bus on the bottom side of that, but I think it's gonna work just fine. And like I said, I just cut a V. You can kind of see it on that one. Cut a V about halfway, and then we'll just weld that up. And that kind of keeps this nice line in the front, so I didn't have to cut it and re-weld it. Got that nice contour right there. So I think that's gonna work. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. I've had this ladder since I've had the bus with this in mind, and just haven't had a chance to do it yet. Well, I'm finally at a volume with the cicadas that we can actually have a conversation here. Started building the bracketry up here, and I just have one welded to this bracket. It's not welded to the ladder yet. So the piece of angle that's on the bottom, this piece right here, is the piece that's the removable piece. And then the other part has that rebar is laying in the rain gutter. So it's just laying in there. I say laying, it's attached, but and then I notched out the piece of angle that kicks back to the ladder so that it'll lay in there nice. I just used a wrench on top. Ran a bolt down through it, welded a nut to my piece of angle. I think it kind of keeps with the look. I definitely wanted to keep these corners up here. And we're probably gonna have to run a second, like a second piece like that. I don't think that takes away from it too much. And you know, right here, I'm tight. I'm gonna go double check the window before we get too much more serious here. But my roof rack is probably always gonna be right there. I've tried it in different positions, and it gets squirrely with the door up here. And the further you shove it back, when the wind hits this thing, it wants to bounce it back, especially if I have the sides rolled up and hit anything that's in its way. So I don't want to do that. I don't want to damage the canvas. So I think we got it about right. I'm gonna go try and pop this pop out open though. Make sure we clear it before we get too involved. Oh yeah, we're good. Plenty good. Won't get much wind with that since it's blocking all of it, but yeah, that works. Cool. Let me finish those up and I'll bring you back. The cool thing about what I'm planning to do here, Volkswagen kind of knew, I guess. Just kidding. But there are a couple of holes you can see there and there. So I'm going to put a plate on the inside of the C-channel of the frame, a plate on the outside, run 2 bolts through it, and weld my kickback feet. This thing goes. This is just my guide. But weld my feet to that. Then I don't have to put any welds or holes, new holes, in the frame. So that worked out perfect. I'm going to make sure that, so we've got that kind of lined up where we want it to be, but I want to make sure we're the same distance away from the bus. The only ladder rung that's really kind of close where you're putting your boot, your foot, usually I have boots on, putting your boot on, is this rung right here. Just want to make sure we're the same or close to the same. 2 inches. 2 inches. So we're exactly where we need to be lined up. So I say let's nail it. Yeah, buddy. What, baby?
You know what jet you built out of Legos a long time ago?
The jet I built out of Legos a long time ago? Yeah.
I need the wheels off of it.
Okay. All right. Taking away my Lego build. Kids.
I'm sorry. I just need tiny wheels.
You're good. Thanks for asking. Alright. I've got the plates made. Actually go on the bus this way. And, you know, the frame of the bus isn't exactly straight, so I just put a slight bend them. And then there is a brake line bracket that comes through the frame, so I went ahead and left a hole for that on both sides. Won't really need it. And then we're just going to put, you know, kind of bolt these together with the frame sandwiched in between. So let me go get those on the bus. And once they're sitting like so, our frame piece will come in like this to our ladder. So I'm probably going to have to cut one of these, or maybe both of them, at a slight angle to accommodate for where that bends, because one of the feet's going to hit here and one of them's going to hit here. So there's what we've got. There's one more bolt that goes in there. I didn't put it in since we're just mocking it up. And then that hole up top is so these little doobers can go back in there when we get done. But I'm pretty happy with how that looks. There's that wet spot you're seeing there is where I use Freol to get that brake piece out. That looks okay. I'm not disappointed with that. And we didn't tear anything up on the bus, so it can come off and no new holes were drilled and nothing changed. So let's get, now we got to get our legs that are going back to the ladder kicked back off of that and see where those are going to land. I have a feeling that one's going to be right in the middle of that bolt right there, but we'll see. We've got everything mocked up the way it needs to go. I cut the angle on this piece because the bus frame angles back. I got that all cut and kind of everything where it needs to be. It looks kind of kittywampus, but that's because the way the bus is shaped. So I think we're exactly 2 inches out here and 2 inches out here from the edge of the bus. I think that is probably the best we're gonna do. And those are the same distance all the way back. I fixed that. But again, this side looks like it's out from the bus a little bit further. I think it's an optical illusion because of the poor body work. But I brought the welder out. I've unhooked the battery on the bus. And we're just gonna tack it because I think what might happen is when we pull this part out and go to lift what's in the tray, we may not clear. So I'm just going to tack it on the bus and then we're going to try to take it off. If we can get it off, we'll go ahead and take it off and finish welded. I think we'll be okay, but where the telltale is going to be, we got that bracket on the back that's going to be now tacked to these arms. So I may have to come up with a different plan for down here. Let's just see. Let's see if we can tack it, get it off and on the bus. If we can, awesome. If we can't, we'll come up with a different plan. Well, take a good look at it because that's probably the last time you're going to see it without a ladder on it. There's what it looks like when it comes off. And I'll film putting it back on. It wasn't that bad to get off, actually. I just didn't have a tripod out here and with all the crazy noise that's going on over there. I haven't been filming too much step-by-step stuff just because it's so loud. And I feel like I have to scream at the camera. So it's kind of a weird build, you know, with the angles and things that are happening down here. But it's not as bulky as I thought it was going to be. So I'm pretty happy with it. So let me get it all finished, welded up, and we will get it back on the bus. And hopefully not have to take it off too many more times. But I got the ladder all back on there. I'll show you the on and off after I kind of get it treated with, I'm going to treat it with some rust treatment, paint the bottom pieces, and then I need to make some kind of cap on the end down there. But I was going to make a seat for it, and I kind of had in my head what I was going to do. I had sketched out. Actually, my son and I had gotten into kind of an argument over what was going to work best. This is kind of what I had in mind because this is what I remember my dad using when I was a kid. He had this, I don't know, he's had this forever. And my dad used to work for a phone company, and they used these. This is actually the one my dad used. So I mentioned to him today, hey, you don't have to have that old ladder seat, do you? He says, you know, I don't think I have that anymore. And he went digging around in the barn, and lo and behold, he came up with it. It fits perfect, except the rung spacing is a little weird. So it has these little catches in the back here that you release to get it off. Has one there and one down here on the bottom. It is not catching real well on this one, so I'm going to have to heat and just kind of bend that hook out a little bit. The top one is catching, so I think we're okay on it. But we need to add, just before I bend that out, I'm going to add just a little bit of length to the legs, because if we can just lift it up a little bit so that we can make that seat level, I think we've got it. I hate to cut into something, but it is never going to be used for anything else. It's an antique, man. It has a little footrest, and the footrest actually will, if I oil it up a little bit, there we go, it'll slide up out of the way, so you can have a footrest or not have a footrest. So I'm super stoked that Dad gave it to me. So thanks, Dad. Pretty cool little piece. So we'll clean that up, get it oiled up. It works perfect. It's exactly what I wanted for the side of this. I got that all level now. I welded 4 inches in down here, and I didn't want to get into the foot brace portion of it, so I just cut above it, welded a chunk in, and then so basically I have 2 welds on each side. I said the nice thing is if it breaks, it's just going to go through the through the side of the bus. So hopefully I trust my welds here, but this tubing was in between, kind of in between sizes. So I don't know if it's like a metric measurement or just the rust has caused it to swell or what, but I had one a little bit bigger and one a little bit smaller, so I just went with the one that was a little bit smaller. The one that was bigger wasn't big enough to sleeve over, so we just used what we had, and it does work. It looks like it goes with it. I love it. So we're going to take that off of there, kind of clean it up. It's been in the barn, so it's got, it's pretty cruddy. And we'll take a wire wheel and kind of clean all this off. I'm going to try to save some of that green paint, though, if we can. And it does say on the bottom, right here, it says Bell Systems. So, definitely an old phone company ladder seat. So there's about a 1/2 inch between the bottom of the bus and that bracket that goes back on the ladder. Easy peasy. I think if I hadn't allowed any spacing there at all, though, I would have trouble getting it off. Just enough. It's like I made it that way. Well, I didn't have the right size tubing to sleeve over or to match directly, but what I put on there is slightly smaller. If I find something to sleeve over it, it's going to have to be a pretty good size diameter. That would make it significantly stronger, obviously. Need something about like this. I may just have to make a couple collars and weld around it. But it's balanced, so I know that I did a fairly decent job keeping it straight. So I added that piece in there. That is all cleaned and ready to be oiled down. I even took a sander and kind of just went around the edges and knocked off the rough stuff. Tried to leave as much paint as I could of the original. Once you've oiled it, it'll kind of bring some of that back. Well, I've got everything treated. I got the stand all treated up. It came out really nice. Like the way that, or the seat, I guess I should say, came out. And I'm gonna faux rust right here. I need to grind that down, and then we're just gonna use hydrogen peroxide. I don't have very much vinegar, but vinegar and some salt. And we're gonna rust just that little section right there. So it's the next day. So about 24 hours that ran. Looks pretty good. I'm gonna hit it with a wire wheel, and then we'll treat it with the rust treatment stuff or some boiled linseed oil just to kind of give it that same look as the ladder. The ladder didn't turn as dark as it sometimes does. The area where it was raw steel kind of did. And up here was just paint left over on the ladder. I may actually hit that with a wire wheel. It looks kind of weird. And then up here, probably still try and rust that a little bit more after it's on the bus. I think we're ready to throw it back on the bus. The area I was trying to rust right here, I have decided to let it go a little bit further. So I've put some more goop on there, and we'll let that go just a couple more days. And then under the bus, I've just put bar and chain oil along the frame where we're bolting this, so that we hopefully don't rust that out. I'm going to check that in probably a month or two. It's in the summertime now, so I don't think it'll be a big issue right now, but we'll check it in a couple, maybe a month, 2 months, something like that. Everything has been never seized or anti-seized, the bolts and everything that are going in. The one that I welded into right on this side is a hardened bolt, and then I didn't have a hardened bolt for over here, so I went and got one. So now I have 2 hardened bolts. I could weld this bolt to it, but then we don't have any flex. So when this one goes in, I want to have a little bit of flex since it is actually, I'll show you what I mean. It's actually welded to the whole setup. So I welded it on the inside and then welded the pipe around it. So let's put it on the bus and see what we get. The weather here has been nuts. If you notice, the cicadas are relatively quiet today. That's because it's 50 degrees, and a couple days ago when I was filming it was 90, and that is summer in Indiana. It's pretty typical of an Indiana summer. So we'll go under and see how close we are to our bolt hole, but I think our rust is going to be about the right amount out. So I just guessed, and I think I'm pretty close. I'm liking the darkness of the ladder with some of the kind of chippy paint showing up on it. I don't know if it's coming off in camera or not, but some of the kind of tannish brown chippy paint's coming out after we treated it with that rust preventative or rust converter. So I'll go ahead and treat those little end caps are kind of a little too shiny for my liking. Thought I'd kind of show you what my solution was for where the rain gutter kind of runs out. Remember I said I had to make this one just a little bit longer than that one. And then to kind of get it to square up so my bracket will fit correctly, I just put a little piece of angle in there, and that keeps my bracket square and biting onto that. A little too close for comfort, but it'll do. All right, we're all bolted up. I am shocked at how well the bolts align on the bottom. Don't have to wrestle it at all. Bing. I like it. Best seat in town. Climb up, buddy. See what you think. Do you remember how to do it?
Yeah.
Woohoo! What do you think about that seat?
Yeah, I like it.
You like it?
Okay.
Okay, we put the little man on for the test, but
Yeah, but I'm not the real.
you're not the real test. That's right. Mama's the real test. Let's see if we can make it go crash. What do you think?
Oh no,
No?
you don't want to get hurt.
I don't want to get hurt? Well, anything's possible.
BB gun, though.
What's that?
I love a BB
You
gun.
better not have a BB gun. We can shake the whole bus if we're up here. Look. It's like a rocking chair.
Oh,
Yeah, I think we should build another one of these. This is cool. I like it. We need a cup holder, though. We need to mount some kind of cup holder and backrest on it.
Oh, we need a tray. I can use my tray when you use in the car. Up
Yeah, we could do that up here. This is nice. I like it. It's cool. Awesome. This was my dad's actual ladder stand. Or ladder seat, I guess I should say. Well, that came out really well. I am very happy with that.
How do you get down?
I just twist around and climb down. Getting down's a little awkward. We're gonna let that go just a little bit further, like I said, but everything else is pretty well done. I may have to bend this catch out just a little bit further. It's catching, but just barely. So if I pull back on the ladder a little bit, it won't release. I'll probably bend that out just a little bit more. This one's doing great. That catches really well.
I do have a BB gun.
Very cool. No one else has one of those, I bet.
Yep. No one else except me.
All right, everybody. With that, I'm gonna sign off. And
No, wait,
what do we say, buddy? With that, I'm gonna sign off, and we'll see ya.
No. I want to surf with this.
You're going surfing. You're gonna get hurt, dude.
No, I'm not. I have to put this up here. This
Be-
surfing is fun.
Be careful those sharp edges.
Not with a real surfboard, but
Yeah, let's not do that anymore.
my
You little
surfing.
stinker. As a mother, I want you to be inventive, but as a mother, I don't want you to be visiting the emergency room later today. Okay? All right.
Like surfing.
So let's say to everybody, see ya.
See you later, Tater.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
I'm gonna tell
Bye.
you that I love you 100 times a day. You'll get tired of my voice. That's how much I'm gonna tell you that I miss you.